Ooh, red leather, yellow leather.
The
Red
Human
Mama in
Torch.
pajamas, Human Torch. The Human
Nice.
Torch is practicing semen retention.
Ah,
All right,
fucking
we're good
Austin,
now.
you
We're good now.
Wow, that's
Oh
fucking
yeah,
disgusting.
you missed that. You missed that comment. All right, we
The
are.
whole world did.
No, we're not recording right now. Shut up. That's not
Yes, we
going
are.
in.
Watch it,
This is
fucker.
the Devil's Work podcast. It's a podcast where the devils do work, and it's me, and it's him, and it's the other guy, and their names are Sideshow. Their other names are
Yo.
Skeptic, my guy
Hmm.
above and my guy below.
Hmm.
As above, so below, if you will. That's the podcast that we do. It's
Yeah.
about movies. Today we're gonna do a real quick job on mopping up all the goo that this movie left in the back of my mouth. It's a very thick, viscous taste that I have 4 days
That's
after seeing it, and it's The
oh my
Substance.
god.
That's Austin, and this is an
Yeah.
Icky Quickie.
This is the Icky Quickie. Nice to meet you all.
Intro.
Let's
Yeah,
let's get into this, man. The
Oh man.
yeah.
Substance by Coralie. She's French, so
Dude, I don't know
Fargeat.
who she is, but I want to see
She's.
everything from her.
Did you
She's
make?
made a few.
I gotta check
Sorry.
this out.
She's made a few movies. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if this was a debut. I
No.
guess
Yeah.
we're just getting a lot of them this
What
year, so I just sort of was like, oh, so it's her second movie.
her second
So
movie? I
she
want to say
made
what
one
was
in
the
2017 called
Revenge.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Yes, dude,
That
Revenge
movie,
was
like,
so good.
that movie popped off when it came out, and I
Yeah,
wanted to go see it. It was like on Netflix, I think, at the time. And then
yeah,
I don't like rape revenge movies. I think they're
yeah.
tacky, and there's only
Oh,
like
fair
one
enough.
that I
Yeah,
justify,
yeah.
and that's The Nightingale. And like I just
Mhm.
was put off by that, hearing about that. But
Yeah,
like after seeing this, I will stomach that movie because visually, I rewatched the trailer for Revenge
yeah,
after seeing The Substance, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, we got the same vibe going. All right, I'll just
100%.
be
Yeah.
grossed out and mad. It's fine.
Well, it's not like, and that's the thing too. I feel like her when she handles that subject matter, it's not as ogly as some other rape revenge movies type to be
Yeah.
tend to be, you know what I mean? So I feel like that one's going that one's worth a watch for sure, because I remember really liking that one when I first saw it. I think Shudder got behind it. I think it might
Mm-hmm.
be a
It
Shudder
could have been
exclusive
Shutter,
or
yeah.
original. I don't even know, but that was my first instance with her, and I had no idea who she was or whatever. I just knew about the background of the movie and everything going into it, but the visuals for that movie fucking slap, bro. They are absolutely incredible. And the same thing with this movie. That's why when I found out that it was her, I was like, I lost my mind. But yeah, oh my god, dude, I'm so ready to talk about this movie.
Yeah, so The
Oh,
Substance just came out this week. We all just went and see it. I just saw it last night,
yep.
late at night. I saw the 10 o'clock showing.
Ooh.
Oof.
There were not a lot of people
No,
there.
no.
And there was one group of people that at one point in the movie they laughed for like 40 minutes nonstop.
Yeah, hard fucking
Yeah.
same, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same, yeah.
straight up. Yeah, that was okay. If it's up against what was it? Blink Twice is another one, really good one I like from this year, but Strange Darling. Those
Mm.
two,
Yeah, I
like
still haven't seen that.
these three movies, they're fighting so hard for
This
my
is
top one of the year. It's so good.
You know what? I'll be totally honest. I was like getting really bummed on the movies this year because I
Mhm.
haven't seen Blink Twice yet.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
that's one that I am really looking forward to.
It's a
But
good one.
the two that I was really excited for, Long Legs and Cuckoo, both really let me down personally. So I was kind of like, man, I don't know. It's just like, was Abigail also this year?
Yeah. It was like
It was in the
April.
beginning of the year, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I just watched that on a plane and I thought that was very stinky poo poo. So
Yeah.
I was like, man, just not a lot of good stuff this year. Whatever. This has saved it. This is like an all timer.
This
You know,
Hmm.
definitely, yeah, this might, yeah,
That's
that was easily one of the best movie going experiences I've had all year for sure. Absolutely.
I remember telling somebody because I saw it Wednesday, same as Joey, and
Mhm.
they had like early screenings near me, and I caught like the 7 o'clock one after work, and I liked it too because it was like a very public, like it wasn't like a snobby local theater, but it was like a
Yeah.
chain theater. So I was like, ooh, how are people gonna be? But because it was an early premiere, we got like a room full of like actually people. They're like, I'm here early.
The
But then
snobs were out for this one for sure.
we had two people that clearly were just seeing a movie on a whim, and they were sitting up front
amazing.
yapping the whole first 10 minutes.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
in unison, though,
Yeah.
in unison, like four of these people, like around, I've seen people get shushed politely, but it was like four very aggressive, passive aggressive, just shushes.
Wow.
And it
That's
was
incredible.
beautiful. But other than that, no,
Humanity is healing.
I know, but like the crowd is like nice and respectful as most of them were. When shit hits the fan, like
Yeah.
it was just laughter. Like, but it wasn't like funny. It was just like I was like crying laughing. And I will straight up ghost somebody on a first date if they like talk during a movie. I was the guy that I hated during this movie. I was crying. But it was
Yeah.
like just shock of what I was seeing, and I'm just like,
Yeah. It literally, yeah, because this is a movie that absolutely nothing can prepare you for that ending. Absolutely nothing about the marketing, nothing about the trailer, nothing about
Oh,
it.
man.
Absolutely fucking
So-
hides that
so-
third act from you.
So real quick, because we're already jumping into it.
Yeah, for sure.
The Substance is a movie about a woman named Elizabeth Sparkle,
Thank
who I had thought would be like a movie star, but she's more like a TV star, like aerobics instructor. She sold a bunch of, tapes to your mom.
Yeah, I feel
kind
like
of
that
person.
one works better for her character too than being a movie star.
It does, but that's a result of like I saw one trailer and was like, this looks brilliant. I don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
Don't just shut your mouth. You know what I mean? But so she gets fired on her 50th birthday. There's like we don't even need to really even necessarily talk about the themes because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's about women in a quote man's world. I say quote because that's not how it should be, but when a man is your boss and he's making these decisions based on your age and your attractiveness and things like that, you're a victim to, fucking institutional misogyny at that point,
Yeah.
So dealing with that causes her to take the substance, and the substance causes you to create a better version of you. But it comes with a drawback. You have to stabilize every day, and you have to switch every 7 days with no exception. And so as she becomes not even addicted to the substance, as she becomes addicted to being the better version of herself.
Yeah. It's
things
the
get
result of the substance that she's addicted to.
Things get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You can stop me whenever. And worse. And worse.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. I love the like all kinds of homages to like the stuff.
She's seen every movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's not a movie that Coralie has not seen.
Yeah.
Like
Kindness.
there's Mike, there's Scion, there's I mean she's French, so obviously there's a ton of French influence. There's Carpenter, there's Lynch, there's Cronenberg,
Troma.
No, okay, you both said it back to back.
We hit a Carrie homage at one point.
Dude, yeah, that was so good.
You both said it right there, back to back, both of my things. If I were to pitch this to somebody without giving spoilers, but even this is a spoiler, not just Cronenberg, but have you both seen Death Becomes Her?
No, I haven't seen it in years, but
it's one of my favorite
right.
movies
100%
ever. I just watched it ironically like last weekend and then saw this and was crying at the relevancy.
Yeah.
It feels like if they didn't do a remake, but if they did like a reimagining like 30, 40 years later, and it came out today, but if it was directed by not Cronenberg, but his son, because it has that like sci-fi kind of relevance that like what is it, antiviral and like Possessor have and like Infinity Pool. And then on top of that, it feels like if it was produced by Troma, because it feels very like Brandon Cronenberg. And then it just turns into like Tromeo and Juliet, or Tromeo and Juliet at the end.
I feel sorry for anybody who hasn't watched it yet and just heard that, because that's a massive fucking spoiler.
And that's what I mean. You can't talk about this movie.
You literally can't talk about this movie, but like
the pitch is the spoiler.
even that though, I would say I don't let that deter you. Go and watch this fucking movie. Like, go and watch this movie immediately. It is so much fun. I was like cackling at halfway through at the violence, and then the third act hit, and I was just fucking, I couldn't breathe, bro. It was like crying, laughing, dude. It was so much
it's
fun.
it's also a movie that is for everyone, because I was thinking about this when I was leaving the theater, because like you get that movie intro and it's like
Yeah.
movie is like kind of like a Criterion tier streaming service. It's very like snobby arts house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, ooh, let's
With
lock
the
in, boys.
eggs,
We're getting
with the
some
eggs.
we're getting some pushing up glasses moments right here.
Yeah,
But then
yeah,
like
for
it has
sure.
that art house like style to it, like with the
Yeah.
cool and like genuinely interesting and inventive camera angles and the way they shot a lot of it.
Mhm.
In the same as like a lot of like the themes, but then it's like a movie for everyone, because you get like the art house nerds, and then you get like the movie nerds that aren't art house dudes, but they're
Yeah.
like 40-year-old rockabilly guys. I've talked about them before, and they love like Trauma and like Friday the 13th. Like the last half of that movie's for them. The first
You
half
could
of this movie
just
is
say
for
it's
like the
me, bro.
Criterion guys. But then there's like an audience for like random people. Like if you brought your mom to this, or if you brought like
Which I
anybody
did.
to
She
this,
loved it.
they could get a lot out of this. Like it's a crowd pleaser for every crowd, not
Yeah,
just
no.
the majority crowd.
Yeah, 100%. I did. Took too big of a hit. We'll go ahead.
Brother, are you
he's
okay?
he's he's dying. He needs the substance.
Yeah, dude, it like legitimately though, like my mom had a great time in this movie, and she had no idea what we were going to watch. Nothing, like nothing could prepare her for it at all, and she was laughing her ass off by the like halfway through point. It was so much fun.
And
God, it
oh, you're good.
it was purposely funny. I think we should make sure
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
there was
absolutely. Yep.
the God. Go ahead, Austin.
No, I was gonna say, like when I was doing that pitch thing earlier, like I was thinking about this too. You know, GTA 5, how like it is very grounded, but it's so satirical that it reaches
Yeah,
like a heightened reality.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah.
different reality, but it's very heightened. And this movie feels like if you took like that GTA 5 like world, and then you had like the Barbie movie aesthetic, and then you just did like a Trauma movie. Like it's
Yeah.
so heightened in its saturation and the
Yeah.
way people
Hmm.
speak. It's like if a Valley Girl watched like a Yorgos Lanthimos movie and then made a movie.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
really glad I'm really glad that you brought that up because I did feel during this that like it's interesting to my brain. The way that I think about it is like
uh,
being like a play,
hmm.
where
Mhm.
Yeah,
a
for sure.
play is not like creating an expansive universe to
Hmm.
like have other stories and media in. A play is
Yeah.
just like, hey, this is a piece of literature.
Yeah.
So there will be things that happen that can only happen in literature.
Hmm.
So don't even bother thinking about the logic because it's not about the logic. It's just
Yeah.
about like the picture we're painting because directly the moral is X, Y, or Z. And
Hmm.
that being the focus means that we're not worried about creating like a big realistic world with all these like logical things that follow each other. So that's kind of how I feel about this movie is like it's the editing and the cinematography from the very beginning,
So good.
it's like you're on a drug binge
Hmm.
because you're just coming like
Hmm.
in and out and in and out, and it's just like it never stops doing that, but it starts it way earlier than it kind of should.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
also like she's already addicted to like the fame and
Yeah,
the
it's playing with this sense of heightened reality for sure, that this like this world that they're building, and the rules, like you say, of reality don't always apply, and it's
Mhm.
already hinting at that throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
But then it just goes fucking off the goddamn rails.
And
yes, yeah. So when it does that, you're just like, oh, that's totally okay because there's not really like a crazy amount of rules that have to be followed here.
Yeah.
There, we were told not to do this thing, so when it happens, there's going to be a really big consequence, and it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it was just
100%.
handled and ramped up so well.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that you said that too, because as soon as the movie starts, we get like the 4 or 5 production credits, and then we get the Palme d'Or leaf. And then it says winner of best screenplay. And I'm like, thank God Chad will fucking like this movie. And then the movie starts. And visually, I'm like, oh, thank God. Joey's going to love this fucking movie. Sure. It has like the visual style of like, I almost said Malignant. What's that bad movie we did that's iconic at this point? Joey, you love this movie. We fight about it all the time.
Oh, Megalomania.
Megalomania. It has like that if it was like neon. It's like what Harmony Korine was trying to do in Beach Bum and like Spring Breakers, but like this is like funny. That done.
I literally thought of like Harmony better. During this. I was bad, like, no
it's done
shit.
Better.
Yeah, 100%.
And like,
and even he has that satirical edge to his movie.
Yeah, but I just love that as soon as this movie starts,
the first that's scene, what you call making teenagers do that to each other. Yeah, for sure. We should do an episode satire, on kids, honestly. No. Like in the same way that we did Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah,
kids,
for sure.
Kids is like, whoa, fun, we're skating. Yo, everyone has AIDS.
Yeah, literally, dude. It's so dude. That movie fucked me up. There's room on this show for that.
That's the one time you'll see me on here, and I just won't make a single joke. Like that movie just makes me so. Sad.
It'll be our Grave of the Fireflies.
Austin will have a trench coat and glasses and just be like,
I'll have scotch and I'll be like a 1940s detective just swirling it, staring into the bottom.
Exactly. One spotlight on you. All right, well, okay, let's get into I want to actually get into the spoilers a bit of this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the best job we've ever done doing a non-spoilers. Pats on the back. Pats off to us.
Good job, boys. Good
Rats
job.
off to you.
Can I jump into the spoilers now, real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, the worst spoilers.
Yeah,
go see it. You fucking
please
fool.
Go see it. It's so fucking
you
fun.
You fucking fool. Demi Moore is otherworldly in it, and
so is Margaret Qualley, dude.
Yeah, I think she's also very, very good in it. Yeah. But Demi Moore is
for sure. She's a show stealer.
Insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Movie. Yeah, but I will say it was also good seeing Margaret in an actual horror movie now because she's done a lot of things that are like tangential to horror movies. So seeing her go,
I just know her from Death Stranding. I just know her.
Yeah. Wow,
I just know her because Kojima.
Well, she was
Kojima thought she was hot, so he put her.
She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was one of the
she's one of the Manson
cult members.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
As well as Sanctuary, which is my favorite fucking movie
Kinds of
last
Kindness
year. Kinds of Kindness. Yeah, she was everything, dude. Like that woman is fucking phenomenal. I loved her so much in this role, and like I said, it was just good to get her finally in a full-fledged horror flick. It was so much fun. But yeah, and seeing her go full fucking tilt at the end, I was like, oh my God, dude, it was everything I wanted. Everything I wanted out of this movie. So all right, let's go spoil it. Fuck it. Go watch it.
Okay, I gotta go watch it, please. Because I gotta yap. Because this is like real for right now. Like jokes aside, this movie, I'm not gonna say I don't like trigger warnings for movies because they're necessary. Like there's certain things that I will tell people if they tell me they've experienced something.
For sure.
But overall, I feel like for me, when I see them, I'm like, that's a spoiler. I don't care if I'm uncomfortable. I'm watching a horror movie. And that's just a personal thing. This one fucking got, like, I get it now after watching this because I've had, when I was 14, I had like extensive spinal surgery. The scene where they birth her out of her back and you see the open cavity of the spine. My scar is that exact cut down her back.
Wow.
I have a pink scar down there.
Dude.
They flipped me upside down and essentially did a reverse autopsy. If you Google the surgery spinal transfusion, I had a full one from like right below my neck to right above my ass. And they open you up like you do an autopsy, but from the other end, and then they just drill a bunch of holes into your spine. And 36 screws and like 2 feet of titanium later, I'm here. But like the point is, seeing her not just splayed open like that, lying on the ground, it almost felt like an out of body thing. Like when you're dying, they say you see yourself. Like I just got like flashes of the ICU watching this, and I'm like, is this actually like what a fucking PTSD flashback is? And then you see that that next,
maybe you have like a repressed memory of having like that sort of experience, because that's
absolutely,
I don't believe in a lot of like hokey, spiritual shit, but like you can have, like a weird moment where you're conscious. Like I've had a moment because I took morphine
God
as a
damn,
teenager
son.
where I could feel the whole room.
Yeah,
So like I don't doubt that in what you were
Yeah.
going through, you
that's
could
what it's
experience, you know?
that's what it's from though, is the thing. I did a year of testing. We're going to talk about the movie, I swear, but this is relevant. We did a year of testing before the surgery because at the time it was very new. It's very standard now for scoliosis when it's that bad,
Mhm.
but they didn't test for morphine. I'm allergic to morphine. It's the only thing
Oh
I'm allergic to. So
shit.
for like 3 days after an 8-hour spinal surgery, I was puking. Now imagine puking when you go in your
Oh,
shoulders tense.
fuck,
Oh
dude.
god
40
damn,
minutes
dude.
after you
God
had an
damn.
8-hour spinal surgery. So I did that for a few days and
Oh,
they were like, what's wrong with him? And I don't remember the first 4 or 5 days because of that. So they finally figured it out, took me off morphine,
that's
and I was there for two
fucked,
weeks.
dude.
Point is, when I saw her on the floor and the blood started coming out, and then
Yeah.
it wasn't even that, it was the part where Margaret Qualley's character, well, Demi Moore,
Mhm.
essentially her other half, starts
Mhm.
sewing her with that thick
Sue.
black
Yeah,
thread.
dude, that
Sue,
fucking
yes, her name is
fish hook
Sue.
type of
And
shit. Yeah.
dude, the way they got that
They
flesh in that
lingered.
movie,
Yeah.
so it's not even the linger, it's the way the flesh looks when you
Hmm.
pull it
Yeah.
and
When
like
you
you
pull it, yeah.
see, yeah, like I
Well, I
had
mean,
butterfly stitches when I went home
I
and
do
it was just gooping
tattoos.
off.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah, you
tattoos.
know,
I know body mods for
it's
sure.
just
Like they got the
so
skin
fucking
fucking
good
perfect. Yeah, they got it
in the
perfect.
worst way.
Yeah.
And
God.
I was high as shit, which I never get. I took edibles before this one, my
Amen,
whole
brother.
2.5 milligram. I was wilding out on a
You got
Wednesday.
a whole 2.5 millis.
Listen, that's
That's
a lot for
crazy for
me. That's
Michigan.
almost two
Exactly.
times the amount I normally
That's
take. But
800 milligrams in
In
Michigese.
Michigan.
but just seeing her sewn up there after and like in fetal position, I'm just like, bro's literally me right now, for
Yeah.
real, on God. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like I've never experienced such visceral
Mhm.
emotional feelings from a movie right there out the get-go. And I was just locked in after that.
Yeah.
You know, two things I'll say. When I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I had a reaction to one of the medications they gave me. I to this day don't know like what I had a reaction to, but
Fuck.
I couldn't even drink water. Anything that I tried to put down, I
Ugh.
would throw up, and
Mm-hmm.
I puked my stitches out, and
Oh no.
but what you went through is much worse.
I'm not trying to
Like
No,
compare pain.
no,
like
no, no.
like
It's
no
real
like no
though.
no no I thought that was bad. What you went through is much worse.
That's a very real thing though, because I couldn't eat anything. So they had my food through a tube, just like this movie. I had an IV and there was like a bag of food and I just never was hungry. And then I just had a
Yeah.
poop bag and a pee bag. And
Ooh.
I would just be
I
like, hey, why am I not going to the bathroom? And
I
then I look
will
over and I'm
say
like, oh shit, I'm pooping right now.
dude, the way that they handled some of these themes though were fucking phenomenal. Like the body dysphoria shit, like dysmorphia shit, like was
Yeah, that was too
really
real.
fucking incredible. Like
Yeah, that
the
was handled so well.
it's incredible. Like I was like I've never seen like legitimately at one point, what was it? The guy who asks her out and who's like just
Oh,
the
like
nice
Phil
dude
or
who's just like,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
something.
yeah,
exact
Fred. I think it
scene.
was like
Yeah.
Fred or Phil or whatever. And like
Fred,
that
oh,
whole scene.
Fred is her old high school friend. Is
That's
Elizabeth's
that
old high school
yeah,
friend, and
yeah.
then I can't remember the guy across the hall. I want to say Phil, but I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
that
he's
shit
just
was
some
funny as
douche.
fuck. But that whole scene with like her getting ready to go out and then
Yep.
like looking back and catching the billboard over, I was like, oh my god, dude, like that's fucked up. But like, I can't say I haven't been there,
Yeah. No,
and
exactly.
like, and that's what I'm saying. In that way, it reminds me of a trauma film so much because trauma films, as shit as a lot of them are, as bad as a lot of them aged, they all like a lot of them had points to them. They had a theme. They had a Toxic Avenger, which I'm going to bring up later on too, had the theme of like pollution and everything and how bad that was for everything. And it was it was absolutely handled in a way that I just haven't seen in a long time besides in trauma movies like that, with these like disgusting images being flung at you but with a purpose and
This
as it has a message to it.
Yeah, and like you're saying, that's what I meant too, kind of, is it's a movie for everyone in the ways where in the last 40 minutes specifically, you just get a trauma movie. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a
It is
Toxic
just
Avenger
Toxic
type of
Avenger. It
situation.
is just
But
Toxic Avenger.
that scene where she's looking in the mirror and like rubbing her makeup off violently, not
Oh, that
only was that
was
just like a true experience
Fuck.
that I've never felt.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like that was why in this movie is my first impulse to actually say that was the most fucked up part of the movie.
Yeah, it was
like,
genuinely
100%.
touching.
Yep.
That was
And
some real shit. She's
Yep.
getting ready for a date. She's just so people have a little context. She's
Yeah.
reconnected with a guy from high school. He just randomly bumps into her outside of the hospital and gives her his number and says, I'd love to take you out sometime. She calls him and multiple
He called
times.
her the most beautiful girl in the world still.
Yeah, he did say that, as everyone else is like talking shit and
Yep.
saying she's gone and they're
Too old.
literally.
this is right after she gets fired too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so she uses the substance and generates Sue, which is the younger, better version of herself. And then Sue goes and takes her job and creates a new like sexualized version. So like Elizabeth was doing jazzercise, Sue is like doing twerk exercise.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how like there's reactors on YouTube and then like porn stars started doing reaction videos to other porn star videos on Pornhub. That's pretty much what happened here.
Not that I know of anything about.
I have no idea if that's real or not. But
Always got to put it into goon text.
listen,
So
that's not the point.
So they literally, something that I thought was crazy is like, yeah, they do put Sue's billboard right outside of Elizabeth's window. So, there's this divide is being created because she's partying and having sex and running out the clock to the very last second and starts to push it beyond that as Sue. And as Elizabeth, she's binging and drinking and eating and all of these things and just going insane.
And then literally, I love the whole aspect of she literally had to stabilize. She has to fucking basically give her an epidural and take out spinal fluid.
Yeah, it's like some kind of magical extra spinal fluid,
that's always on tap.
It kind of reminded me of like when you take acid, there's the thing where everyone's like, oh, don't crack your back after you take acid because you might permo trip because a little bit apparently stays in your spine. It feels like when you take the activator for the substance, when you take that initial shot, it kind of stays in you in your spinal fluid. And so you have to like pull that from that one place that it stays because they say it regenerates over time. And that's why you can't do it too much.
Yeah,
so
they say
I really like that premise.
They have to switch in order for the juices to regenerate.
Yeah. So as they keep switching back and forth, Sue's career is going better and better, and Elizabeth is fading more and more. And she decides to call this guy and go on a date with him. And multiple times in the call, she's like, hello. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm just in fucking shock. Like, I just can't the theater burst out at that.
Same.
Like so hard. That was so fucking funny. Just like
it genuinely, and it's a sweet moment too. That's the thing. You're getting these actually sweet little moments in the movie.
He seemed kind of weird at first.
Yeah.
But then after the call and everything, I was like, but I was like, man, I really hope she makes it to this date, and she does not.
It's also he was weird, but he wasn't creepy because, like, picture it from his perspective. Say you go to high school with someone and they're gorgeous in high school. You graduate and they become like the next. I'm gonna date myself here, but they're gonna become the next like Carmen Electra or like the sex icon, the Jessica
That's
Alba.
a name I haven't
run
heard
into
in
the
years.
They become the next like sex icon, the next Chapel Roan. You go on TV and Chapel Roan just exploded in the last like 6 months. Imagine knowing her in high school a handful of years ago, and then you bump into her like 20 years after her rise to fame, and you're like a huge fan of her, but you also had this affliction with her in your teenage years. You'd be awkward, you'd be weird, but he's never creepy, and that's what I liked about him. My first gut instinct was like, fuck this guy, he's gonna like put her in a trunk. And then he starts talking, and I'm like, no, he's just acts like any guy that runs into like a beautiful woman that's like mega famous, starstruck kind of.
I think the creepiness aspect might have been added by the fact that he just said, "Oh, I followed your career for years and this and that."
Yeah,
so, like, immediately you're
it gave like a Bjork
weird.
Stalker vibe.
But but I mean, again, like the movie does a great job of like showing you the humanity underneath that. Like you just said, it's just awkward, like nerves and shit.
When she doesn't show up, the reason she doesn't show up is that she dresses up. She's wearing this like ostentatious like V cut. It kind of looks like Nightcrawler's outfit.
It's a good dress. Yeah, it's fucking cool. Yeah,
it is cool. But then as she's leaving, she sees the billboard and she goes back and she puts like a scarf and she pulls the dress up to like hide her cleavage, and then she's wearing gloves because Sue has taken a little bit of extra time.
She took like an extra day, I think, at that point.
Yeah, she like it was like overnight so she could hook up with that guy. And then when they change back, her hand is aged. It's like
it's a
horribly
finger
aged.
in particular.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
So she's wearing these gloves. She's already insecure. She's becoming, more and more insecure because of the world around her and her connection to Sue. The supplier keeps telling her, remember, you are one. There is no you, there is no her.
Yep.
You are one. Respect the balance. And she calls at one point and says she's not respecting the balance. And they say, there's no you, there's no her. And then she like has this like mental break where she can't even like form the sentence. And then she just goes, the balance needs to be respected. So respected.
Click. Click. I was like, damn.
And then that's the thing about less is more that you were talking about in this heightened reality. They don't really give us anything about who made this, but in this Hollywood-esque type of world that we know nothing about, these you hear all the conspiracy theories about Hollywood and the Illuminati. You get real deep in it and you hear words like adrenochrome, and like Alex Jones kept popping in my head when I was listening to this, and I'm like, it's just, you don't need an explanation and it makes it better. Sometimes I need an explanation in a lot of things. Like there could have been a lot of explained in The Tribe. This movie, if they would have explained anything about the substance, it would not have been a
I don't give a fuck who the doctor that
I don't want to know
is and the shadowy organization
in that way, that's why I likened it to The Stuff, because it's like that even the name is just so vague, and it's just like, oh, it's gonna make your life better. That's all.
You see though how like in Austin's dead on here. It's all about the setting. It's never about it's never about the direct literary technique or directorial technique or writing technique or any technique, music as well. It's never about this exact little tool. It's just about how you use it. So sometimes it begs explanation. This was perfect because we're just blacking in and out with her as she's fucking going through all of this shit. You think fucking people getting smacked on heroin like know that it comes from the poppy fields in Afghanistan?
Or that it's even Tuesday.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So she keeps going back and forth because she's trying to leave, but then every time she tries to leave, she sees the billboard, and then she goes back and like hides more of herself, and eventually we get that scene we've been talking about of her just smushing the makeup, and she's like tearing at her eyes. Her eyes bleed a little bit. She just hates herself so much for being a woman. Because human beings age. She's hating herself because she's a woman and she's aging.
I will say too, I when I initially saw this, I was like, oh, they're just doing Pearl, X, and Maxine. They're just doing these themes again. Like they're just exploring these in here, and that's fine. And half of the movie really is that. It really is just those themes of aging and coming to terms with that, but wanting more fame as you age and stuff like that.
But specifically too, that it's like it's asinine because everyone ages. It's just because we've got Dennis Quaid in his fucking Majima suits.
That I had was it my last job? My last job, the owner of that company. Dude, I mean, genuinely, I had like war flashbacks of like chopper noises in my head when he entered the screen in that urinal. That was the owner of the job I worked at. Put him in just a normal black and white suit with like gray hair.
That's
like disturbing.
But even that on the emphasis on like the actual like shooting of it, it was fucking amazing. They used that like fisheye lens like the Yorgos did.
He gets his nose to the lens. He's like in
it's
it.
Like right up against.
They were not afraid to just hit us with like black bars on the screen or like I think there was a couple times where, like you guys said, we get like the ultra fisheye where you get like it's like a circle in the middle and then black all around it. So just being unafraid to just be like, I don't give a fuck. We're just gonna do this because I want you to feel this way for this one little
Yeah, yep,
interaction.
yep.
Even when she watches like the USB drive stick and the way that she's looking at the TV and the TV
Like,
we
yeah, it
zoom into the
zooms in.
TV and then it's like we are now
In
viewing
the
it. It's the
fucking,
whole
yeah,
theater screen. And
yeah.
then it's just like pulsating cats and boots music, boots and cats, fucking just like wow, wow, wow. And it just turns
Yeah,
into a
yeah,
music video. And I'm just
yeah,
like, this is the best way to sell me something.
yeah,
I'm all
100%.
in. Oh, it was good.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I love also the setting of this, like you were described. The sets of this movie are fucking phenomenal. The actual like studio
Oh yeah,
that
you
they're
know
in
what?
there and they're filming it
You're totally right. Her
reminds me
Don
of
Draper
Kubrick.
apartment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even that, like the studio where they film all of the shows and everything, reminds me of Kubrick. Like it's an entire down to the fucking the carpet that's
Oh
on the
yeah, yeah.
floor
Oh,
when they're walking through.
10,000%.
Hundred
It's
fucking
meant to
percent.
be
It's
it's
so
for
good.
sure meant to be the Overlook, but it's a
Yeah.
studio, and the
Hmm.
ghost that haunts it is Dennis Quaid's
Yeah.
leering sicko ass. Like
Dude, his
his
shoes,
gross ass
his
teeth.
fucking shoes were amazing. The fucking heavy ass steel every time he like clomps
Yeah.
over.
That explains why he's doing the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like tapping
steps.
around.
You know,
He's always
Yeah.
lived like rip, rip, rip,
Yep.
everywhere he
I use that.
goes.
I said GTA 5 earlier for like that heightened reality, but what it really is, because what I said was that mixed with Brandon Cronenberg's sci-fi element, it literally just has the feel of like a movie that would come out in the cyberpunk universe. Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
like when
yeah,
she
yeah.
goes to the slum to like
It's
gets the
very, very
stuff,
cyberpunk.
it feels
Yeah.
like when you go to the slums of that area, like it's
Yeah,
so
yeah, for
bright,
sure.
but
That
so
dirty
like
alleyway. Yeah,
derelict and just like
yeah.
grime.
I actually, while I was watching it, I was like, I feel like it's like cyberpunk body horror, but then I'm like, cyberpunk has like a very inherent element of body horror.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
does
this
it?
just a cyberpunk movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played the game,
It's
so
kind of like the
Well,
plot
well, the
almost.
genre,
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
genre.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The game and the tabletop game is just named
Mhm.
after the
After the
genre, or
genre.
perhaps the
Yeah.
genre is named after the tabletop game. I don't know.
Mm.
Right in. Um,
We
but
will do, I will say this right now, we will absolutely do a Tetsuo episode one of these
Yeah.
fucking days,
oh
and
yeah,
that is gonna be fun as
a, a,
fuck.
1,000%.
But
Yeah.
even the themes of like the game Cyberpunk, the only one that I've played, the PS5 gamer, whatever you play it on,
Hmm.
they have like a running theme where you have to like hunt down these people called cyber psychos, and essentially if you get too many upgrades, it'll just fry your
Oh,
brain and
just
you'll
fry
go
your shit.
insane. And
Okay.
it feeds into this movie where it's like you can
Yeah.
use the activator, you can
Hmm.
use the substance, and if you respect the substance, if you respect yourself, you'll be fine.
Yep.
But it's that cyber psychosis, that substance,
It's that
overdose.
wanting just that little bit more because you got to
Yeah.
taste the good life
It's
again. You know what I
it's
mean?
it's crazy how they're like they tell her a couple times throughout the movie as Sue's taking more and more time. At one point, she takes 3 whole months
Yeah.
Dude, that
from
was
from
fun. And then the
her.
blanket just laying over her. I was like, that's gonna be a good ass reveal, dude.
So as she takes more and more, she gets worse and worse,
Hmm.
and the balance gets, more and more fucked up. And there's
Hmm.
two different times where she calls and they say, "Do you want to stop?" And
Yep.
she's like, "What?" And they're like, "Do you want to stop? We can stop
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Like
And
we'll,
you'll
we'll
be you. It'll only be you. Like, or it'll be like you on your own. You're like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just you.
you're the Matrix. It'll be you
Hmm.
all alone."
Hmm.
And she's already dealing with these feelings of loneliness. Something that I thought, so I'm going to give you guys my two gripes with the movie.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the nurse at the beginning who is like seeing her in the hospital because she goes for like a 50th birthday checkup, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
no, no,
a
no.
lot happens on her birthday.
She goes after the car crash.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
yeah. Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
For
you.
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
And they were
Um,
pointing out how like, holy shit, you're like perfectly fine and your car
Hmm.
flipped twice. How are you good?
Hmm.
yeah. So she gets she works, she tapes an episode, thinks that she
Hmm.
has a really great day. She goes to the bathroom and overhears her boss talking about what an ugly old hag she is and how women become infertile after 25
Such
and
a piece of
how
shit.
it's all fading away. And then she gets called into his office and he fires her. He doesn't even have a backup ready. He just fires her. So like early on, I was like, oh, she's gonna get her own job back. And then I was like, wait, no. because like they must have someone ready to go, but they don't. He just that's how spiteful and shitty he is. He just fires her because he doesn't like looking at her.
Yeah, he's such an asshole.
And then as she's driving home, she gets in a real bad car accident.
Yeah.
But they tell her it's your lucky day. You didn't break a single bone. There's not a scratch on you. Like you're completely fine. And she flips like 4 times in the car. Like it's
it's
crazy.
fucking violent. Yeah, that even that shot from inside was really fucking cool.
That was I do not know how the fuck they got that.
So yeah, it's really fucking visceral, dude. It's so crazy.
It just looks like there's a car accident happening.
Literally just happening, yeah.
Yeah. And my family has had a couple bad car accidents, so that was my kind of PTSD moment of like, holy shit, this is just a real thing happening.
This movie has a way of doing that, dude. It's crazy.
But yeah, because like even at its core, it's all like, yeah, this is a real thing happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Women being made to feel this way by shitty men. You know, let's not paint it any other way.
We can put it that way, but there is also that like the way we're brought up, the way we're raised, there is, any woman would tell you this generally, like women are kind of taught to pit each other against each other from growing up in that culture. Like it's 100%. Not just men, and I'm not being here saying like not all men. Like men, you're very 100% right. I'm not gonna die on that hill like I did in the fucking I'm going to do in a future episode.
But I feel like even that comes from men assigning to them that
exactly,
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean by like being brought up in this culture, in this like societal standard. Like it's like pounded into you, and you exude that onto other women as a woman. And we see that in this movie. It's literally herself versus herself, and even at the core of it, they can both exist peacefully, but they just fucking hate each other. We have the younger one hating the older one for what she's going to become or what she has become, and then we see the older one just despising her for getting to live the life that she's already lived.
And it's, you know, during the movie I thought a better title for this film, and when I first thought of it, it was for different reasons, but now like I think it still fits because I thought it was going in a totally different direction. But I think a better title for this film might have been "Go Fuck Yourself." Like, tell me that's not brilliant, right?
No, that would be yeah.
I'd pay money.
Maybe if they do The Substance 2, that should be the subtitle. The Substance 2.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. But so my 2 gripes. When she's in the hospital, the nurse that sees her tells her, you would be a great candidate. She's like, the fuck are you talking about? He's like young, very like he's
the piercing blue eyes, isn't he?
He's a dude who wears makeup.
Yeah,
you know, like, and I don't mean that in any way other than to say like he's very beautiful. You know what I mean? Like he's like he's like this like crazy like, why are you a nurse? And he's like, he's like, oh yeah, you'd be a good candidate. And then as she leaves, she finds a USB in her pocket that says The Substance, has a phone number on it, and it has a wrapper around it that says it changed my life. Later on, once the aging starts to happen, as Sue is taking more and more time, she runs into some random old man in some random place, and he was there before her, but she's like, are you following me? And then he's like, no, I just wanted to see like how things are going for you. And then we get a flash of the nurse showing us that that's his better version. And then he's like, you just get lonelier and lonelier and all this stuff. And I was like, I feel like I could already get like, if I thought about it, you know, after the movie, I would have been like, oh yes, that beautiful man was obviously
if
like
they did
someone
the
else's
close up on the
Sue.
eyes. Yeah, the close up on the eyes was enough to give it away.
I didn't think we needed
birthmark.
that. I don't think we needed that scene. Well, we end up finding out that's not a birthmark.
Well, but when they initially show it to you, it looks like a defect.
Yeah.
Like a birthmark type of thing. Like, and then you come to find out that it's like a defect, like from
from the
not
substance.
respecting each other.
Maybe I misread it and it was meant to be a birthmark that linked them. I thought it was a mark from because the young guy had it too. So you know what, you're right. I misread that.
I think it's
But
supposed to read as a birthmark from the get-go, but then
Yeah.
as you come to find out what happens to
What
even
it actually
Margaret
is.
or Sue, I should say, Sue, the character with her big fat fanny on that live broadcast, I think that was an instance where that might have happened to the perfect version, quote unquote, and then that was like the aftermath because they actually lived through it to tell the tale.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, I thought that was a little unnecessary explanation.
I thought
that
the little flashback to him at the like as the nurse was unnecessary.
Yeah, it felt like when you find out the Joker's girlfriend isn't real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because they flash back to him as the young guy. They show the birthmark. He drops something and leans over, and you see his spine. And then like a neon sign comes down and some confetti. It's like, okay, we get it, you know. And my second gripe, and this is more serious. That's like a kind of a small thing. I was like, all right, you wasted like 2 minutes in this 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I can't be like that mad, you know.
Yeah.
But I did feel like that was kind of unnecessary. But when she busts out, and my family does construction, when she busts out,
oh yeah, when she
like,
starts doing all the reconstruction,
when she busts out like multiple decades worth of like experience in construction,
it just starts fucking sledgehammering against
that
the wall.
that was pretty fucking ridiculous. But it ties back to several times in this movie. I thought, you know, if she had, you know, come back with like a book on construction or something and then done this, I would have been like, okay, whatever. But if it was a guy, would we have even like stopped for 1 second
it's
to wonder about it? So I'm
Amen.
like, damn, is that the purposeful like point here, or is this something, you know, or is it just it's a fucking play? Who cares? The points are made up and the score doesn't matter.
That is all that's valid, but that's when we're introduced after that's wrapping up when she's doing that construction. That's when we're introduced to the creepy, obsessed neighbor across the hall that's obsessed with Sue. And he does say that the noise has been going on for like several days.
He says like 3 days I haven't slept in.
Yeah. It was like
that's a crazy turnaround for that project for one.
No, I agree. But at least it wasn't like a quick montage of them running across hallways and then it's done.
You have to suspend that disbelief a little bit for that.
Yeah, they're injecting goo and shooting out.
I do tend to believe that it's meant to be there as a trip mine, so then you can go, you misogynist bastard, you know. Like, because it's, you know, oftentimes we don't question that kind of shit when it's a dude. You're just like, this guy could just like build this stuff and make these traps and set up these explosives and you know, do whatever the hell he needs to do in the plot of this film. But when it's a woman, we question it. You know,
I'm glad that you only had 2 gripes, because I genuinely only had 2 gripes. One in all of those are completely valid. My 2 gripes kind of feed into both of those gripes, which I find funny. The coffee house scene didn't really bother me. I was just like, okay, well, we need something, because like I said, it's like a crowd pleaser for every crowd. So if you just bring like your target mom from the suburbs there, that would be nice.
There's a scene with Mocha.
Yep.
But
I'm pleased.
But like, I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry. No, you're good. You're good.
Boca Mamas.
No, okay, yeah, I remember now. Boca Mamas. All right, thank you. But no, like there was a couple times. It was like 2 or 3 times we'd get flashbacks, like you were saying with the nurse, but they were in the form, and it works with the satirical aspect of this movie, but it didn't blend with like the visual tone that much for me. When you'd see these like floating heads appear over screens, like she'll be watching something on the TV or her phone, and then like the boss, like the male boss that fired her, his face will just pop up and float around like a cartoon and be like, ha ha ha, I told you, ha
That
ha
was
ha.
I fucking loved that.
I
Dude.
fucking loved it
I
too.
I
loved
thought
it,
it was
dude.
I can't believe
interesting,
this is
but it
that
threw
was-
me off. Like it threw me off. I'm like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is happening?
Yeah, I
can't-
love that so much.
How often does this happen? That
It doesn't
Austin,
happen
Yeah,
that
right.
Austin's like, this was dumb, and we're both like,
It was just
"No."
so ridiculous. I'm just like, I can appreciate it, but like,
Yeah, but so was
you
that
give me the
entire
makeup
third
smearing
act,
scene
bro.
where she's crying in the shower, like rubbing her fucking lipstick all over her forehead, and I'm just like, damn, I see you. You are
Yeah.
felt and heard. And then
Yeah.
it's just like him, like a fucking Woody the Woodpecker character, just being like, ha ha ha. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm just like, bro, calm down. It's
Yeah.
like breakneck speed.
But you're
And it was
entirely
cool.
right. It has that's the appeal for everybody. It has
Yeah.
something for literally
It's so
everybody.
bouncy.
Yeah,
It's,
absolutely.
It
Yeah.
is a little cartoonish, but it's a very cartoonish world. And by the time
Exactly.
by the
Yep.
time we get to the fucking explosive third act,
And that's the in the third act. We can jump into that if you want with
I
my
want
gripe.
to. I want
Okay,
to.
my gripe will lead us in here. It's not so much a gripe, it's more just I wanted to talk about this with you guys because when I was watching it, I'm like, how the fuck is this happening? Because before you joined, Chad, we were talking about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, that one they dropped on streaming in like
Mhm.
2021.
I don't know why we
where
were,
what
but
a
we were.
what a fucking title.
I know
Yeah,
I called it
yeah.
Marvel for Christians
It
that like
literally
don't
is.
watch Marvel because they just
Mhm.
become superheroes in these movies and they're just a
Yep.
married couple in their 40s. And but like, okay, so we get that really cool fucking scene where she's old as shit sitting down and she wants to stand up and she has to essentially break her knee.
breaking
Oh
her
my
knee, dude,
God,
So
that
we
was
get
fucked
that
up,
scene
dude.
and it was horrifying.
Yeah,
But
my
then,
mom,
like,
my
20
mom
minutes
said
later-
that was her least favorite scene. By the
It was
way,
it was the least graphic, but one of the most
Yeah,
painful to watch.
She hated watching it.
So I can crack my thigh, my left thigh.
Nice.
Mhm.
And it's very strange. Like I've told everyone I tell that to is like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I assure you, I can
Mhm.
do it. Amanda's seen me do it many times, and it provides such an insane level
Is it
of relief.
is it like the socket in your hip? Because I can do that too.
No, it's like the middle of my thigh.
That's
Oh,
insane.
It's like if this is
wild,
my
dude.
thigh, it's like
That's
right
fucking
here.
crazy.
Wild, dude. What the
I
fuck?
like
You're like
I like
double
put-
jointed in that area, I think.
I like lift my leg up and then I put my hand on my thigh and I like push down and then it pops.
Weird, dude.
And
That's crazy.
and it feels so good. And during that scene, I leaned over to Amanda and I was like, that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like to chew 5 gum, cracking your thigh.
That's good. So I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No,
Austin.
you're good. That was good. That was good. But essentially that scene, as well as when she initially wakes up from that like 3 to 6 month nap that she took when she was forcibly like,
yeah, pretty much.
when they exploded her spine into like
Yeah.
pustules. She's getting up
Oh.
and she's falling over. She tries to like run out the bathroom and she just collapses.
Mhm.
And shortly after that, we get the leg scene. We get both those scenes that set up kind of the idea that like she can't move because she is like 110 at this point
Mhm.
in dog years, you know.
I
But
know
like,
exactly where this is going, and
okay,
yeah,
thank
yeah,
you. All
yeah.
right, we get the explosive finale. All right, we can circle back to how this
Yeah.
started, but there is a scene where Sue's character, the character
Mhm.
of Sue, is like on the ground unconscious, and by the hair, 110-year-old
Yeah.
Demi Moore, Elizabeth Sparkle, is speed running down the hallway,
Yeah,
dragging
yeah.
a
She has her by
fully
the
grown woman.
ankle. She has her by
Or
the
by the
ankle,
ankle,
Yeah,
I'm
she's
sorry.
because her
But
head
dragging
bounces
her,
on the stairs.
she's
Yep,
dragging her like
exactly.
Jason in Jason X with the sleeping bags.
Yeah, she's sprinting. She's
Yep.
And then-
on fucking
Absolutely.
sprinting.
And then even Sue's character later, she like Spartan kicks her into the old image of herself and it shatters. And it
I
just
did-
becomes a superhero movie. And I loved
Yep.
it. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, I was laughing, but I'm just like, does this just give them powers? And I know that like
Yeah.
at that point I should have just been like, why are you asking too many questions?
Absolutely.
But to set up that she's so like frail and then 10
Mhm.
minutes later just give her like chemical X essentially. I'm just like, bro, what is happening right now?
I feel like probably a lot of it, because it is sort of like, I didn't see it as much as aging. Like that's how I think a lot of people are reading it. Like when I like looked at, like summaries online of it after
Mhm.
watching it, people
That's how I read it.
have been characterizing it as aging, but I took it as more like goblinification. You
Yes.
know,
for sure.
it's not even necessarily that she's aging and becoming decrepit. It's that she's becoming this horrible, ugly body horror creature that she would hate herself for becoming. It's literally
That's
just
fair.
your morality play. This is the worst possible consequence in your eyes, kind
Yeah.
of a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So I sort of took like her I didn't take it as her breaking her knee. I took it as her snapping something back into place
Oh, okay.
Oh
because
yeah, when I say
her
breaking, I'm being hyperbolic, but yeah, that's
oh
what I
no
mean.
no.
Kind of like showing that frail nature of having to snap it back in order to move it.
I
Mm-hmm.
But
think
yeah,
so. I
Ugh.
think some of that is also from her just laying still for 3 months,
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going through that like process of like
Yeah.
yeah,
becoming that little monstrous
yeah,
monster.
Once you
dude,
get
you're
that
opening up
stretching, you're
old
unstoppable,
memories. I
dog.
didn't. I
Like,
was in a
Yeah.
bed for 2 weeks when I had that surgery. I did have to learn how to walk again. Kind of. That's crazy. I didn't even
yeah.
think of that. That's true. It was 3 fucking months of just fetal position. So
Yep.
yeah, no, she's just stagnant.
Well,
That's
it was the
very
Yeah.
same thing
real.
we talked about in Good Boy, how that would have fucked him up at the end,
Yeah,
like when he would have been
yeah.
walking for
But
that long, you know?
I'm glad you said goblin mode because fucking I no, but for real, for real.
I've been
I
talking
had
about
this thought in
goblins
the
a lot
movie.
this week. It was kind of crazy how it all came to a head
And
last
it's
night.
when I was watching it, I had this thought because I've been wanting to rewatch The Witch because as we're recording this, October is right around the corner.
Yup.
And there's that cliche with witches where they have to like kill a newborn or like the blood of a child, an innocent virgin child needs to be
Yep.
bathed in to get that youth
And the
back.
Eye of Newt.
and and Hemlock's Grove. Yeah, we know the frog, the toadstool, but seriously, in like the witch or like for my monocle wearers, the Vavitch,
Bitch.
we we see her like old and decrepit in those shadowy shots, and then we see her bathing in that infant's blood, and then it cuts to her being beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what this felt like to me. I had that thought because when I jokingly brought up Alex Jones and like adrenochrome, taking that syringe, not knowing where it's from, and then her like that resentment as the resentment grows, not so much age, but it kept making me think of like a witch's sacrifice for youth, like
Mm.
sacrificing maybe not like a child, but
I
like her
like
own
that.
sanity.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
witches kind of go insane. So yeah, she's not
Oh, that's a good
necessarily
ass
old.
read.
I was
Yeah.
thinking of that during the movie because it is kind of like you're looking at that younger version of you, but instead of it being like a beautiful young innocent woman, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful younger version of yourself. And instead of sacrificing another innocent person, you're sacrificing that part of you that the dysphoria, like the gender or
Mm-hmm.
the like
Your
fucking
idea of
what am I
yourself
body
image.
dysmorphia
Yeah,
like
yeah,
takes over in you and
yeah.
driving you insane every time you look in the mirror.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that's
for
what's
sure.
making her so disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, it leads off. We're going right the fuck into it.
Oh yeah,
I
please.
can't wait anymore. This fucking third act, dude. Once that shit. So she essentially doesn't have any more spinal fluid to switch out. She doesn't
She
have.
milks her.
She milks
She
her completely fucking dry.
Yeah, when Sue takes too much time the first time,
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth responds by just binging and going crazy and just like she sees a interview of Sue on TV and Sue is basically making jokes and talking shit about Elizabeth,
Yeah.
which because they're the same person, it's kind of like I take it as like when she is Sue, she is so high that she's like out of her mind and she can't think about like the things that Elizabeth would want because she's so high being Sue.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like she's doing her own thing. And then when she's Elizabeth, she's so down, it's very I can very much see it being like a metaphor for bipolar as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
Woo.
When
Oh
she's
yeah.
down, she doesn't give a shit about the highs that she just experienced because they may as well have happened to another person because she's
Yeah.
just this like horrible, you know, becoming this horrible goblin and she hates herself for it. And so she just like puts up a newspaper all across the entire window. There's food everywhere, there's liquor everywhere, there's just huge, it's horribly
Yeah.
disgusting. And
This
so
oh my
Sue
bad. Go
goes
on.
and milks her and puts months worth of fluid into just like every jar she can find.
Yeah.
And that's the scene that made me think of the witch element, and I completely forgot about that. She essentially takes the gift from Dennis Quaid, the boss's character, and it ends up being this like French cookbook that he just threw at her. He's like, "Oh, something to do to pass the time, you retired old hag." And even like when she's opening it, all of the foods are like disgusting. It's like blood sausages and like haggis and like these like visceral looking organ dishes. And when
One
she
of them
starts
is
cooking,
turkey stuffed with foie gras.
Foie gras.
yeah,
Yep.
and when
That's
she's
so
cooking it,
disgusting.
it's so visceral. It looks like a witch going like she's like stirring the pot. She's like ripping the organs out. This is another part I liked when Sue was on the TV talking and she's like, tell them all where you got it from. Tell them all who you really are, you bitch. It has this cut, this back and forth to Sue's face in rapid fire editing, and then her like fisting the turkey,
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like a metaphorical like raping of herself with her own like hatred. Like they're just like torturing each other and like ripping each other apart, like literally rips
interesting
out all
read.
of her organs.
That
And
might be
then
the
it's just
most
like,
poignant thing you've ever said.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was really.
I'm not
fucking
trying to
good,
get like
dude.
sad here, but like that's
No,
I
no,
forgot
that
about
was
the scene.
Yeah,
But
that
it
was
is
excellent, though.
it's taking everything out of yourself for the sake of just hating yourself, when you can just be like, I was beautiful, I am beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm Demi Moore and I'm 61 years old and I'm hot.
And I
Yeah.
matter, darn it.
Yeah.
And the saddest part was this scene too, because when she is this like full form, quote unquote, like old witch's hag type of character, hunched over, essentially balding with these deformities, we see her look at her photo that she took in the beginning of the movie when she hated herself, and she's holding it with her hand on it, just mesmerized by the beauty. And you really take in as an audience member, like, Demi Moore is fucking gorgeous, but like after seeing her transform into this slowly and seeing what she's become, you really take in what she's taking in, which is just like, holy shit, if I just called Fred and learned to love myself instead of giving in to like just shooting up, for lack of a better term.
That's another thing that I noticed that I don't think I've ever thought about in a movie with a male main character. Like in John Wick, never did I go, oh man, he's unmarried and has no kids. I actually thought that sentence during this movie. I was like, damn, really? The only reason she's allowed to like do all this stuff, like she doesn't have to hide it from anyone because she's unmarried and she has no
I never
kids.
thought of that.
I was
That's
like, holy
crazy.
shit. That's not a sentence that I would think about for like the
For a
fucking
male-led,
Equalizer or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Like,
sure.
like,
The
but it is like,
Equalizer.
you know, she held herself on this pedestal and
Yep.
was never able to, you know, have those things because she was so busy chasing this addiction of fame and celebrity and everything.
I
Can we
haven't
talk about the
seen.
fucking kill that like
Yes,
Oh
real
yeah,
quick though.
let's set the whole stage and
let's
go
do
into the
it.
third
Yeah,
act. Let's
'cause I
just
need to.
that's the
Wait,
rest of the conversation.
real quick, last thing I want to say, I haven't seen season 4 of The Boys yet, but so much of her character in the beginning and middle of this movie reminded me of Maeve from the first 3 seasons.
Oh yeah,
just like
yeah,
as a character, as a woman, and like what she goes through, like being in the 7, like and even the visual style.
The picture of her is very Maeve-esque.
Yeah, that's essentially, it looks like a superhero. That's what made me think of it. And then like it has that perfect shot of like broken glass on only half of her face, and it breaks at the eye. Like her perception of herself breaks when Sue, the perfect version that hates the older version, throws something at it and shatters it. And it breaks at the eye. Like half of her is perceiving herself as disgusting and old, but then when she actually gets like decrepit and like mutated, she's just like fawning over what she was and what she had. And I love it so much. But let's just get to the big diarrhea explosive ending.
The big one happens.
So she runs out of juice.
Yeah, she runs out of juice after she kills because she just essentially drains Elizabeth, right? Like she just completely.
Well, she doesn't kill her, but she's asleep, and they essentially say this is why you have to switch back. It regenerates.
No. In the fight later on, because
causes
the third act. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So they have a fight. Sue kills Elizabeth, and it's pretty fucking great. Stomping her ass out.
Elizabeth tries to terminate Sue. She calls and says she's done. She's like fully Cronenberg mutated at this point. She calls and says she's
not even
done.
fully. That's not even her final form. That's
I
Well,
know, but at this point, I was satisfied with that.
That's
being
technically
that's
Elizabeth's
exactly-
final form, if you want to be technical.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, amen.
So she calls, says she wants to terminate, and they call her back and like pretty quickly, and they tell her it's ready. She has to go like run down there, and I did think at some point in this movie I was like, it's gonna end with her being a bag lady, because this movie has a brilliant bookending open and close.
Yes. Yep.
And we'll get to the close later, but the open is her star being born on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and then people walking over it as time goes on, and their chatter going from, oh my god, she's the best, I love her, to, oh hey, I think I've seen her in a couple things, to, oh yeah, remember her, your grandma loves her, kind of a thing.
Exactly.
I do want to
people
say,
are dropping food on it, and
yes, the food.
The
I want to say before we talk about the ending, I'm not going to get into it, but when that hamburger falls on the star, there's never that much ketchup on a burger without a reason.
He just dropped.
And as soon as he starts like smearing it everywhere, I'm just like, I know where it's going to end. And I loved it so much because I was hoping it would, but I wouldn't be mad if I was wrong. If it told me to go fuck myself, like go fuck you. That's the sequel, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, no, the way it wraps up, I was so happy.
Yeah, beautiful. So go ahead.
So I expected we'd see her as like a bag lady walking over her star. You know, that was kind of like my initial thought, is like, okay, this is going to get really crazy, and that's going to be her consequence. So we see her in this bag lady form a little earlier than I expected. Run down to the locker, get it, come back, and she tries to reverse Mia Wallace her.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said when I saw. I was like, "Oh shit, Pulp Fiction, what's up?"
Yeah, and but she stops short,
and
she revives her, and by doing so, it breaks their connection.
She does inject her, but it's like you said, it's just short of the full vial going in.
Yeah,
so
but
it just says Terminator on the, or Termination, I think, or some shit.
Yeah, Termination.
Yeah.
But she's still dying, and then she tries to switch, thinking that's gonna save her, and it causes her to wake up, and they both are awake, and they have this big crazy showdown. You know, I have to eat my words. Margaret Qualley is just as good as Demi Moore in this movie.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I apologize. I totally apologize because from here till the end, there's some absolutely fucking bonkers acting.
The acting is so good.
And feeding back into what I was saying about like the whole turkey scene where she's ripping out the organs and that poignant feeling of it all. This feeds into it right here, because when she stabs Sue with the termination liquid and puts it halfway down, she stops, but she doesn't stop necessarily because she wants to. She hears that voice in her head who's like, are you sure? Are you sure? And she literally screams at the ceiling, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And then she continues to do it, and then she stops and she's like, no, I can't lose you. And it feels like a few things. Like you can read into this kind of as like a suicide in a way, like a metaphorical suicide of just like, you could read it into a way of like, because like you said, she never had kids, like having that youth that like a lot of people, I work with a lot of older people now, and they talk about like, oh, you don't want kids? Oh, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Like that feeling of having someone there just to care for you. And as she is aging rapidly or not, like in general, she sacrificed in a way. She chose a career over the traditional nuclear family. So to have not only this part of herself physically here, keeping her feeling youthful, literally and metaphorically, but also this part of her here taking care of her. It was just so poignant the way she looked at her like a mother would, but it's herself. She looked at herself like someone that she hated. She looked at herself like someone she loved, like a child. There was just so much in the way she delivered, like, I can't lose you. And then tried to resuscitate her. And then to have Sue wake up, and her first instinct after seeing the Terminator, which is like, fair, you know, if you see something that says Terminator and it's black goo, it's all out war. But to have that moment of like almost reaching self-love and acceptance after the point where you've literally gone about killing yourself, and then to just fall back into the suicidal tendencies of just tearing yourself apart, literally.
It's beautiful.
It's just so fucking sad to
Yeah,
watch.
no, and if this had been one of those movies that ended with like it wraps up neatly, it does all that, wouldn't have worked. Would not
No,
have
it had to
worked.
be goofy.
It had to be this goofy, but it also had to be that like dark. It had to go that dark. It had to,
Yeah.
those stakes had to be that high, and she just had to lose. Like
feel
she
like
had to
I feel
lose.
like funny enough though, it does wrap up very neatly for something that didn't need to.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
like
sure. I'm just
like
saying like a quote unquote traditional good ending.
no,
Like an
okay,
elevated horror movie where it's like
yeah.
very somber and,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
open-ended.
I get that. I guess I just mean in terms of like at the end, I'm like, no questions.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
100%. Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's not really anything that I'm like, God, there was like maybe one or two directorial acting choice kind of things that like if I could watch it at home and take notes, I'd be able to remember. But just I think there was like one or two tiny things where I was just like, huh, there had to be like a purpose behind that. I really wonder what that was.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
And not in a bad way either. You're just like, I'm
yeah,
curious to know what your
just
motivations were.
there's we're recording 2 episodes today, so there's something like that in the other movie as well.
Here we go.
Where,
Here we go.
where I'm like, no, not even as a criticism, just
Yeah.
solely like there's one thing where I'm just like, why did they make that choice? Just actually
that's fair. Yeah, for sure. And we'll get into that one. But let's finish this one out. So
no, totally.
The fight happens. Sue murders Elizabeth in like a crazy fucking violent fashion. I forget how she does. She like slam her head into the fucking thing,
no,
and then she like kicks her to death. I know that. Yeah,
she slams her
in the
face
bathroom.
in the mirror many
there you
times.
go. Yeah, for
and
sure.
then she runs out to the living room
and Sparta kicks her.
Sue Spartan kicks her across the table, across the floor to the table.
Yeah,
and then she just kicks her to death for like 4.5 minutes.
Those kicks made my toes scrunched. Like
I
my toes were
it,
genuinely like what I was white knuckling my toes
coming out when
but I was also laughing. That's the thing.
Yeah,
this movie
exactly.
and in this scene starts with like the funny like her ripping her down the hallway and terminating her in like the superhero way, and then we have that poignant scene of like that whole thing I just went off on, and then again the way you're describing how like graphically violent this is. This movie feels, and I'm thinking about it now, the way I always joke about the way my mentality is, where it's like there's like that meme where you see like a cat looking. Yes. No, it feeds into that. But like that's the Instagram account you always see what I'm about to say on. But it's like a cat with a cowboy hat staring at you. And then it's like the world is cruel, but I still remain silly.
Yeah, exactly.
This is nothing but like real mental anguish that is so relatable to anybody, no matter their stability. But yet the movie remains silly because all you can do is laugh to keep from crying, or you can just cry.
Yeah.
Or you can laugh and cry, which I do.
So she realizes that the cash cow has now been all cashed in.
It's been all milked.
Yeah, all milked up. And she decides, well, there's still some of that activator left. So she decides she's gonna go ahead.
Not yet. She doesn't do the activator yet until Margaret Qualley gets her chance to act as hard as Demi Moore has the whole movie. Because up till now, she's just been kind of like a little valley girl running around doing her thing. There's a great moment where they transition. Like a lot of this movie is very anime. Like the being birthed out of the spine is very anime. Switching bodies is very anime. But
I called it the wildest form of Freaky Friday that there is.
Yeah, there's a scene where as they switch, we see basically the switch one way and then the other. So we see it go from Sue to Elizabeth, and there's liquor everywhere. She's like just been fucking all these young dudes in the house and everything, and she starts to scream, "You have to," and then it transitions over to Sue, and we see food and more liquor and everything
like,
all over the house.
Yourself or something like
you
that.
Have to control yourself. It's like a huge mess. So like they're fighting back and forth. You know,
that editing though, man.
That feeds into like the intergenerational trauma thing with like almost like a maternal figure, because that's like somebody who's had a child say a mother had a daughter, and as she's watching her hit her prime, her like her teenage or 20s, where she can be an adult and make these choices and like live a life on her own, separate of parental figures, you see them doing everything wrong you did, and you're like, dude, I'm just trying to help you. I'm not controlling you anymore. You're not grounded, but you need to help yourself. And they're like, fuck you, you old bitch. And you're like, fuck you, you stupid asshole.
You're shitting yourself.
Stop it. You're shitting yourself. Go to the bathroom. No, that's the scene.
I can smell it.
No.
But so her becoming the monster, because you expect it the whole movie. You know, you're like it's
what the fuck?
Well, they set it up in chapters too, which made me think it, because you get Elizabeth and then you get Sue and Pink, you get Elizabeth and White, and then we get
that's the thing. I didn't know where the movie was going. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't anticipate that.
It literally, the title cards are my favorite, because we get Elizabeth and White, and then we get the substance in yellow for the USB drive. Then we get Sue and Pink, and then we get, what is it, Monstrous Egregious,
it's the green one.
And lime green.
Monstro
Eliza-Sue.
Eliza-Sue. Oh my god.
So she goes to the whole thing is that she's been asked to host a New Year's Eve party or New Year's Eve show, and on New Year's Eve, she runs out. So all of this happens the same day. She runs out. She switches back to Elizabeth after not having been her for over 3 months. Elizabeth realizes she's a like hunchback, goblin, Gargamel type.
She went full goblin mode.
Yeah, and she goes, gets the Terminator, comes back. All of this stuff happens. Elizabeth dies. Sue tries to get more out of her, but there's nothing in her anymore because she's dead. And then she goes to the show, and as she's getting ready for the show, her teeth start coming out.
Dude,
and then her ear comes off, and then her fingernail comes off. And I love that she's so curious. Like when she's staring in the mirror, crying silently, just pulling out tooth after tooth.
Yeah,
because she's just like, well, this one feels a little loose. I wonder if
that scene got me good too, because as someone with night terrors, my most reoccurring dream, and you don't got to do the dream science on me. It's very cut and dry what the metaphor is here. I know my past haunts me, but my most reoccurring night terror is that either I didn't kill somebody, but I walk in, kind of like the movie we're going to cover shortly in our second episode. I walk in and see something I shouldn't, and then I'm complicit and I have to hide it with them, or else they're going to hurt me. So I'm just stuck with the guilt of hiding a body, or my teeth fall out, or I get both at the same time. But the scene struck me so well, because that's how every night terror I have where my teeth fall out is. I'm never freaking out. I'm never panicked. My teeth just start coming out, and I'm very scared of like, oh my God, my teeth are coming out. But it's me literally holding up my teeth and trying to like shove it back in, because it's more like shock.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too. Because you see the whole root. It comes out so clean.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And in that way, it does remind me of a Cronenberg, like a Brandon.
It's a clone falling apart. It's genetic instability.
It's a Cronenberg.
Exactly, a Cronenberg.
And when she tries to leave, and Dennis Quaid's character brings over all the shareholders, and it's like a bunch of just horny old men, and they're like, "Come on, you should smile. Beautiful girls should always smile." And she just gives this like.
This little meek, like teeth full,
just this little awkward, and they're like, that's so beautiful, oh my God, all these showgirls are coming by, feathers, gentlemen, and they like jump down the hall.
They literally skip
down the hall.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit was ridiculous.
They're like floating for some pie in that scene.
For sure.
But then she goes,
but the pie here is booty.
Ooh, and that stink trail. Anyway, so then she goes home, and that's when she uses the activator again.
Yeah. So she does the activator, and then we saw what happened in the first section of this movie, that born out of the spine. We see that sequence happen again, but then it blacks out, and then we see point of view. You're the monster, Eliza-Sue. El monstro, Eliza-Sue.
Yeah. We're seeing,
dude. When that fucking title card hit, I was screaming and
the
clapping
whole
like
theater clapped. I'm not joking. They were howling, and I was so there for it.
Fuck yes. Oh, that was one of the best experiences I've had watching
And
a
it's not
movie in
just the
recent
title
years.
card, it's like the score hits and we get like Nosferatu
Yeah, dude.
operatics, like,
Yeah.
oh, and I'm just like, oh my
Yes.
God.
This whole scene of her like as she lifts
Oh.
herself up and we're seeing her perspective and she
Yeah.
sees herself in the mirror, like that was very shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like a good like
Mm-hmm.
example of a jump scare, and it but at the same time like incredibly fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
100%.
know how you nail all of that
Yeah.
in one sequence,
It's
but
it's
like
the way that the camera moves up when it's like looking barely she's barely about to look and then it looks down
like
and then looks
Yeah.
oh
back up. I was like,
that's
fuck yeah.
that's a real Scoob. Don't
Yeah.
tell me he's behind me,
He's behind me,
man.
isn't he?
Like
That's absolutely yeah. And then we
and
just get it's just Toxie for the
Yeah,
rest of the
yeah.
movie. That's it.
the sequence of her going and putting the dress on
Oh my
and
god, dude.
she's
With
so
the earrings.
she's like this crazy mutated version of Elizabeth or
Oh,
of Sue, and then
Eliza Sue.
on her back is Elizabeth's face, just straight
Yeah,
up Elizabeth's
like in
face,
horror.
It reminded me, have you guys seen
and a hand sticking out. And I noticed so she goes and she puts the dress on, the like Cinderella dress she's supposed to be wearing, and like tears it all up, and one of her titties is just straight poking out, which is hilarious. And then
barbecue sauce all over
she
him?
goes and gets earrings and just stabs them into the sides of her head.
Dude, that was so
And,
good.
and then she goes and cuts the head off of the picture of herself and
Yeah.
glues it to her face and cuts the eyes out and then
Yep.
goes to the soundstage. And when she gets there, they go, "We've been waiting. Come on."
Finally, Jesus.
Dude, that
I
cutout
was
was
just
so
like,
good.
okay, nothing matters.
The way
No,
they
yeah, at that
showed
point,
Demi
all
Moore's
logic, everything goes out the window. Everything.
the way they showed her human face on the back though with the mouth screaming in silence, it
So
reminded me so
good.
much of the 80s movie. I want to say it's called Society.
Dude, I was gonna bring up
Yeah,
Society.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It was
Like
just literally the shunting. It was
this is
just the
Society
shunting.
if it had an ending.
I
Like
fucking
the
love
last
you,
30 minutes of
Austin,
this.
dude.
As soon as I saw that, I just saw the butthole face.
I totally was gonna bring this. As soon as I saw that, I was like,
Yeah,
"It's just Society."
it's
Okay,
just
we just
society.
have
We
Society.
live in a very
We
demure,
live
gooey
in
society.
It's
which I've been talking about. I want to do on this fucking show, dude. It's
God,
so good.
I'm just realizing this and Dead or Alive. I meant to say when we did Dead or Alive, when they're all in like the field of mud, it reminds me of the end of Evangelion, the congratulations scene.
Oh, I
Have you
haven't
guys
seen
I
it.
seen
No,
haven't
that?
no,
seen
no.
it yet, but when
Uh,
you said this feels very anime earlier, like this movie, I was gonna
That's the
say
one
from
that
what
you
I
thought
know
of.
about Evangelion, I
Yep.
thought of that, and I thought of
I
another
don't
one that's not coming to me.
I don't think this spoils Evangelion in any way, but at the end, there's just like all this insane, like literally the last two episodes are just the author talking to you about existentialism.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, that's
hear
all
you.
I
It
know
is
about the
very
It just
movie
turns
and the
into
show.
like the primordial ooze of
Yeah.
humanity,
That's all I know about
human
it.
consciousness and shit.
Hey kids, you ever
But
talk to the void?
but while everyone's like consciousness is like merged together, like all of humanity's
Yeah.
consciousness merges, um, and there's a scene where the main character all of a sudden he's just like feeling the consciousness of everyone he knows and everyone he's ever known, and they're all just surrounding him, clapping, going,
That's
"Congratulations,
amazing.
Is
I
that the meme
love
of him in
that.
the chair?
congratulations,
Yeah,
congratulations."
that's sick.
I don't know if he's in the chair for that part or
He's
not
like
because the
holding his head. That's all I know is the memes. It's bad.
yeah. Um, so yeah, the congratulations part for Dead or Alive, the melding of all of humanity into
Yeah.
one is what this reminds me of.
Yeah, for sure. No, immediately when I saw that, I thought Society because I was like, that's another
Yeah.
movie because
It's
that movie, not I mean spoilers for that one from two as well, but that is another movie that is played a specific way. It feels like one type of movie for the entire, I think it's like an hour and a half solid, but like for
yeah, it's a
an hour of that movie, you are just watching a different film. And then that third act kicks in, and you're like, "What in the motherfucker?"
It goes from like Brat Pack to like Clive Barker in the last 20 minutes.
Dude, it's such a fucking good movie, dude. But that's what I'm saying. The joy, the utter fucking joy that I felt watching that movie for the first time, and when that ending hit, was the same, if not amplified, for this one when I saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
I can say the last time I felt the way this movie made me feel in a theater, I can tell you the last 2 times. 2018, the first time I got to see Sorry to Bother You. I saw it the premiere night. It was like an early screening, and the director flew in because he was from Michigan, I want to say. And he lived in California, and he flew in, and he was late, but it was still fun. He did a Q&A after. But that scene at the end, and I'm not going to say it, but my God, in the bathroom, in the shower, holy shit. The cackle I fucking cacked was fucking nuts. The next time I felt that was in 2021 in a completely empty movie theater at Imagine Theaters, was seeing Titan in 2021. And this movie, jokingly, I said at work that this movie, the last time I felt the way I felt with this was in Titan, and it's a movie about a woman experiencing like technological body horror
thought about
while experiencing, instead of body dysmorphia, it's gender dysphoria. And it has like, and I'm just like, I have a lot to talk to my therapist about, because like my last 2 great movie experiences was this and Titan, and they are literally the best double feature. They are almost 1-to-1.
I never considered, but that's the thing too. That's what I love about so many of those movies, the trauma movies and everything that we keep talking about. That's what I love about those movies, is that they had the balls to go these places that no one else was doing at the time, you know?
There's a line in a movie that we all have seen recently, and it's you go so far. Wait, no, what is it? It's like you go so far left, you turn right. It's like, are there a bunch of rightoids there? It's like, but you got some ultra lefts there. And that's what trauma feels like. You go so far left, you end up right again.
Yep, absolutely.
When make bad movie on purpose is movie bad.
Hey man, hey, good bad taste. We always fucking talk about it. Speaking of John Waters again.
Yo, when she's on stage, it just goes so insane. She's talking and they're just like, everyone's just like mind blown. Like they obviously know something is wrong.
At that point too, I will say it reminded me of, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Elephant Man. It was absolutely
I thought you were gonna say Black Swan, but that too.
1000%.
Yeah, with all of like even the way that it was. And speaking of Lynch, absolutely. Speaking of Lynch, like the way it was filmed, like the lights being blaring on her, and like the crowd kind of standing around in shock. It's the same thing in Elephant Man.
When her false face falls away, and everyone truly sees what's standing in front of them, and it starts zooming into people on the crowd as they scream. What is that a direct reference to? I'm trying to think, and I feel like that's literally Carrie, right?
No. Well, Carrie, but I want to say, are you talking about where they're pointing and they're saying monster? Okay, at the beginning of this movie,
smash zooms.
Well, Richard. I can't remember the actor's name, but her boss in the movie, Dennis Quaid. His character, I want to say it was him, references how when women age, they're essentially like King Kong, or something about King Kong was referenced in the first 10 minutes.
Oh no, and then he said what is she used to be some kind of movie star, right? She has been in movies. Like she must have been in some kind of movie star. What was that? King Kong back in the day?
Because it's so old. And then the movie ends, and I took that as like a direct, like, kill the monster, but the monster is the audience, as in the monster are us for killing King Kong, like just because she's hideous, for lack of a better word.
Exactly. No, for sure. I immediately caught that, like, reference, that old school, like, exactly, that, like,
the cut zoom to the audience member pointing monster. No,
it's so much.
It's like the blob coming out of the screen in the movie theater.
So ridiculously, like, it became a B movie for a few minutes.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that whole last act is just a B movie.
And then someone comes up on stage, and it's at first they all just start pushing her. Which is also very like play coded. That's very like in a play. If they wanted you to feel like someone was getting fucked up, they would just have people kind of push them back and forth, you know?
That also reads as something that would have been in the Elephant Man, though. I think I'm pretty sure
That
like towards the beginning of the film.
I like both of those because you're both completely correct. And I like the fact that you took that, and then I took like having like body dysmorphia. It starts very young. And for her to be perceiving this, we're essentially seeing what we're assuming to be from her elevated point of view because she is just a mutated mess at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sure what's happening isn't necessarily happening verbatim because we're seeing from her point of view. And like to have like that hatred for your body and yourself taught to you so young, it is just like play yard, Red Rover, you're ugly, don't come over type of shit. And like just the pushing, like throwing the hat over her, stealing her fucking that was a slow burn. Red Rover, get your ugly ass away from me. But yeah, no, it felt very like subconscious and very like deep-seated, that hatred kind of flowing out of her from the audience. And because we went full malignant, precinct scene here.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just like it's just nuts. For it to overflow into reality in this heightened reality that we keep saying, it just makes sense. We don't have to be explained anything. It's just like this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, dude.
They bust her head open with a mic stand.
Dude, that was fucking crazy.
They Ronnie Radke your ass.
And then she grows a new, more fucked up head.
Yeah.
But I think before they bust her head out, a titty falls out of her eye.
Dude, that was okay. That was the funniest part. That like to my mom, she was fucking laughing her ass off at it, dude. That was so fucking good, dude.
Fully a titty, man.
It's just a titty.
It came out of the eye.
It comes out of the eye.
It even had like it had the pink end of the eyeball, like a cornea, the attachments, and it falls out, and it's like a testicle and a chest. It's like an eyeball testicle. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was just the best. And it flopped on the ground like wet, like a salmon, like a sloppy salmon. And the crowd that I was in was fucking dying with laughter. And the crowd in the movie was like repulsed and puking. And I was just in heaven. It was beautiful.
I started laughing. And then at one point I literally caught myself. And I want to make sure that this like gets in the video. I literally was doing this. So that this next part happens and that this is my reaction. Her head gets like smashed off. She grows a new, more grotesque head. She's like screaming at all of them. And then somehow, I don't know if they do it or if she does it, but like her hand gets ripped off and then she just starts water fucking cannoning blood all over everyone in the room, and people are like trying to leave, but the pressure is like forcing them to stay in place, and she just starts spinning around doing it, and I like by the time she starts spinning, which like again like the kicking to death scene, it's like a few minutes here, I was doing this in my seat and I had to like realize and catch myself. I was just like,
I knew it.
Leaned over,
I knew the face because it's you. The first thing I pictured when you said I literally did this, I have to set it up, was when you click on the monster can in Death Stranding and he points at it with his mouth open.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, or like the little army guys. Yeah, like that. I was just like, that's gonna be the face. I'm so glad.
It was incredible. So it just funny. All of a sudden it's like fucking Tetsuo, it's Rikio, it's Audition, it's Scion, it's
everything that I ever wanted in a movie.
It's those things, but have you ever thought you'd see those things to a scale this size in an audience that like broad? Those things are great.
And Margaret Qualley.
That was the beauty of it. Yeah. You get G.I. Jane, you get Margaret Qualley, you get fucking an AMC 20 theater playing this at 4 p.m. on a Wednesday.
The budget, I don't know how they make these.
That's crazy if you tell me it's low.
It's incredibly low.
Really?
Let us guess.
It's insanely low.
I'm gonna guess 12 million.
I was
gonna say
low. Either like 15.
I would have guessed like maybe 30, but maybe 12 if it's low.
Between those two numbers,
between 12 and 15.
Between 15 and 30.
15 and 30. Oh wow,
22.
17.5 million.
Fuck, that's crazy, dude.
They've made 1.3 million so far. That's as of
That
yesterday.
had to have been
you
a
know,
passion project for Dennis Quaid and Demi Moore, because they could have
oh
asked
yeah,
for insane amounts, and for them
this
to
is a
do
one
that.
for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Demi Moore, like, I don't know. It's crazy. Like, I feel like she
Well,
was in the room while they were
yeah, my
writing this, you
drive
know?
to want to see this
yeah,
initially
yeah.
was to get that premise. And like you said, you saw the teaser and you're like, that's all I need to see. And I took a little bit from the teaser and I kind of got the themes that we saw. And my first instinct was like, I haven't seen Demi Moore in like 30 years. I feel like I am 30. I feel
Yeah,
like I haven't seen her in
yeah,
fucking
for
40.
sure.
She just kind of disappeared. And it kind of feels like this is not only like a comeback for her. I mean, she's getting Oscar nods for this. Can you imagine if this wins a fucking Oscar with the way they treat horror
That would
movies?
be
That would be so
insane.
Yeah,
good.
That
they
would be
didn't give
so fucking
Hereditary
good.
like fucking what's her face, the
Tony
mom.
Collette, yeah, that's a
Yeah, but
fucking
we're not going
crime.
to get into that. The
Yeah,
point is, though,
yeah.
this felt very much like a comeback for her in like the best way, because it almost feels like she disappeared from Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to speak for her because I don't know, but it feels like she could have stepped away for these similar reasons, you know, like aging and being
Oh
disgusted
yeah,
by the way
yeah,
people are
yeah.
treated. And then to come back this strong in a movie with themes like that are so relevant, and then to get Oscar nods for it is fucking nuts. And then I was
Oh, yeah.
immediately just like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm going to see this just based on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm here for a demi-sance, man. I'm with it.
Demi-sance.
I'm here.
It's
That's
demi-core summer.
Yeah, no, and I mean,
God.
yeah, this movie, like I said, we'll kind of start wrapping this one up and
Yeah,
our
yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
on it. But I absolutely adored the feeling that I got watching this movie, because again, like Chad obviously had his own qualms about long legs and cuckoo and stuff, and I definitely, when I went to initially watch those ones and I was in a theater watching those ones, I was like, it's been a while since I've had like a good fucking movie theater experience. Like, it's been a
Yeah.
minute since I've won. And then this one hit this year, and I will say also, we are doing an episode on Strange Darling. It's a fucking
Yeah, because I want
banger
to
of a
see it.
it's a banger of a movie, and I loved it, and I had a great fucking time in the theater for that one as well. But this one, that was some next level shit, my
Yeah,
guy.
it was.
That was
Yeah.
so
This is what I
fucking,
wanted out of Cuckoo. This is what I wanted out
for
of Long
sure, for
Legs.
sure.
As great
A
as they
movie that
were,
goes there. You know what I mean?
is as good as they
Yeah.
were and as great as they were, this is what I was hoping for. In the this
Amen. Yeah.
I do you remember Creepy Crawlies? It was Boy Easy Bake Oven.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's
This
so funny.
movie
That
gave
just
me
came
the
up.
No, you
nostalgia.
didn't just fucking say that. You didn't just fucking say that. That is like a long-standing inside joke between me, Amanda, and my parents, because one time we were getting high with my parents and my stepdad
Such a
said to
great
me,
statement to say.
but yes, I love that I can say that. My fucking stepdad, like, we're sitting here talking, me, Amanda, and my mom are having like an in-depth conversation about something. And my dad's just sitting there, just stoned off his gourd, and just apropos of nothing, he leans over and he goes, "Hey, whatever happened to creepy crawlers, man?"
It's incredible.
I don't know. Kids were sticking their hands in microwave ovens and
Yeah,
grabbing
ovens,
hot
yeah.
liquid plastic chemicals.
Yeah.
No, but like for real though, like not to make it poignant yet again, my
Oh,
running theme, I
man.
either make it manic or poignant. I was only gifted an Easy
¿Por
Bake
qué
Oven
no
because
los
I
dos?
asked. Yeah, what you said. Totally. But wait, was that offensive? Cut that out if I said yeah. I thought you were baiting me. You said something like horrific, and I'm like, yes, I agree. No, but no, I asked for an Easy Bake Oven when I was like 4 or 5 because I wanted brownies, not because I was a little girly boy. But also I was a little girly boy, but according to my biological father, no girly boys in this home. And so my mom
Was your father
sighed
Fred
reluctantly.
Durst and I saw the TV club?
We talked about this, Joey. Yes, he was worse. But literally, like I wanted an Easy Bake Oven because I wanted brownies, because what 4-year-old doesn't want fucking brownies whenever he wants? And
Here.
water powder equals brownies. That was magic when you're 4. You put it in a toy and you get a brownie. But like, so I wanted brownies, and then he's like, ain't no girly boys in this house. And then my mom sighed reluctantly because she didn't want to argue and got me a creepy crawly set, which is just literally 90s easy bake oven for boys, because too many boys were asking for easy bake ovens because they just wanted brownies. Their eggs weren't cracked yet. And then their dads got mad, so Hasbro made creepy crawlies to get them to shut up. And this movie gave me that same sense of like nostalgic joy that a creepy crawlies toy oven gave me. It was so gross and slimy, and I was getting like neon blue and green cockroaches and centipedes that were burning my hands, and like this movie was burning my mind with just serotonin, but also disgust. And I was just so enthralled, and like that's the best way. It was like nostalgic for something I'd never experienced.
Yeah, for sure. Like. Yeah, amen. That's fucking that's.
There's probably like some European word, because they have like different words for different things, like Schroedenford, and stuff. Like I need a word for nostalgia that you don't have nostalgia for. Like I have like FOMO for like something that hasn't even happened yet. 100%. Watching this movie.
Yeah. Sorry, but let's get into the horns up, horns down rating. So this.
I just wanted to say the book ending of
her. Please.
So she leaves the theater. She explodes. Like she's falling apart. And what's left?
So did I.
Yeah. What's left of Elizabeth? That little face on her back just like starts straining with like the flesh around it to pull itself away and keep going. And immediately I turned to Amanda and I was like, she's going to be a star and she's going to find her star. And that's exactly what she did. And she sits there euphorically feeling this high of like, and it does feel like we're supposed to think that it really was like the gods of cinema and fame, like being like, yes, Elizabeth, everything is all right. Don't worry, you're going to celebrity heaven, like become one with your star. Like she has this like cosmic moment of like, and then she fades away into goop, and her star is not cracked when she's there, as we saw
earlier.
But then when her viscera is cleaned away the next day by the street cleaner, it is cracked. So like she achieved perfection for one last moment.
It's almost like Chad's gonna get mad when I reference this movie, but respectfully, you're wrong. Elmer in Brain Damage, like that high he gets at the junkyard, and he's just like dancing around a bunch of broken down cars, and he's just like, "Ooh, the pretty colors, yippee!" Like that's this movie felt a lot like that. Like she's clearly on a high of some sorts, and when you're that peaking, when you're on that many mushrooms in someone's bathroom when you're 19, you think you're talking to God, but in reality, you're talking to a hairdryer. And it's just very real. But then like just for it to end that way, this movie is what I wanted out of Maxine, because we were talking about times we've been disappointed this year. I hate saying this with how much I deeply love Pearl. My biggest disappointment this entire year so far, coming up that we're in the fall season, was Maxine. And this is what I wanted completely in July when I saw Maxine.
For sure. Like that's what I'm talking about, that explosive ending. That's what we got out of X. And that's what where I was like, oh shit, okay, we can take the movies these places.
Not even the ending though, but like you were saying earlier, like this movie in particular, like the themes that touch on in Maxine, it feels like this was like the meme where it's like, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just like don't make it noticeable. It feels like the substance was like the A+ student, and then you're the shitty C+ student, and you copy directly off them, and somehow you still fail. You know what I mean? Like, I love Ty West. I love that trilogy, but like, God, that was disappointing. And this is everything I wanted, and I got it, and I'm so fucking happy.
This movie could have ended like at 4 different points. And I would have been happy with it, but I'm so glad it kept going. And fuck you to everyone who said that it could have been 20 minutes shorter.
So what you're saying is you understand the art of edging.
2 minutes shorter.
You're gonna be 2 minutes.
Oh, baby,
you understand the art of edging.
Oh, you don't want to have an edge off with me, player. No, sir.
So we're the Goon Squad now, is what you're saying.
Goon Squad.
Yeah, the Goon Squad.
So let's get into it. Horns up or horns down? Simple rating of does it suck or does it fuck?
Do it. Fuck.
Can I go first?
Yeah,
please. My horns straight up were chomping on Cialis during this movie.
Oh.
My horns cannot be higher. My horns are at full mast. This is the most fun I've had in a theater in years, literally in like 3 years almost. And this is the most fun I've had all year. This is my favorite movie of the year thus far. I haven't seen Strange Darling, but it gave me the same feeling when I saw the teaser. I am so excited to compare the two, but this is the best thing I've seen all year.
Yeah, for sure.
Just for the love of Christ, go see it.
I totally agree. Outside of your guys' recommendations for the show, this is like I haven't been this happy seeing a movie in years. You know,
that's dope. Yeah.
Like outside of the stuff that we've been talking about, seeing like a new movie, I haven't been like this fucking stoked.
Yeah, like
in years.
How you felt when you watched The Tribe and like Megalomaniac. You haven't been this excited.
Yes, exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
Man.
Yeah. Horns all the fucking way up. But I will say, I do have one other gripe, and it's that we pretended for 2.5 hours that Margaret Qualley has asked.
Thank you.
Hey. All right.
We're not
Let's not get into slander here, all right?
It's not slander.
That woman is perfection, and I will not have you bad mouthing.
She's a beautiful woman.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, there's literally like when she's having sex with the motorcycle guy, there's like two shots. There's like two shots where they like
he's gripping on it.
They have like prosthetics in her fucking pants or something. Because like they just like went out of their way to like do these two shots where her ass is like way bigger than it really is. And
I was mostly just Margaret Qualley's ass. The movie, though.
It is.
Like,
before
it very much
rating,
is.
Joey.
There's so much nudity in this film.
Before
somehow we didn't mention that this whole.
That's not important.
But
even though
it works. It works because
exactly.
the whole thing is her like comparing them back and forth,
And even though it's a French director, which has come to, you would assume there'd be a lot of nudity for such a Hollywood Americanized movie to be in a wide stream base here, even in the Midwest where I am, to see like we don't see much ass from Margaret Qualley, but like to see essentially full frontal that's still covered. Like when she's dancing, you see every crevice of that crotch in multiple people. And I was impressed, not because I'm like, ooh, gooning, but like genuinely like to see that on a wide audience. We can see people dismembered and disemboweled, but when it comes to like a penis, we freak out. So like to see that, it was crazy.
It's funny because
for more dick in movies.
Yeah, more dindle in the movies. I want more dinkies.
When people freak out about dicks in Game of Thrones, I'm like, bro, there's like 5 across 8 seasons. Like chill the fuck out.
Yeah, the ratio is way off.
I was gonna say, just as a last aside, men don't do that. Like women will be naked together and compare their bodies. Like they will. Like in a locker room, verbally or non-verbally.
I
have those conversations about like, oh, but your boobs are like, whatever. Guys don't like get naked and go like, ah, fuck, bro, like your dick has such a like better curve to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally. Yeah, we don't do that.
It's and I don't know. I feel like there's something to that as far as like how the nudity in this movie was treated.
Oh yeah,
as opposed
I never.
It's not male gazy.
Yeah, I never felt like sexual.
It's like a joke,
Yeah,
And female
even
nudity
the points
is usually for us, for the boys.
That's what I'm saying, male gaze. Yeah.
Even the points where they're dancing in the scene. We're gonna be done with this, and Joey's gonna tell us how he feels. But like, even when they're doing the cuts of like Sue's character starting her own show, and it's so over sexualized, it's to a degree that's almost. There's no sexual nature to it. It's almost funny.
There's just straight up a camera for her ass.
Yeah, it's like watching a Bob's Burgers porn parody. It's like it's not even like for
let's
the
run
sex
back
at
the
this point.
footage on camera too, and it's literally just like 5 minutes of her ass.
And then when they're like scrub through it, oh my god!
I thought they ran away before that scene cuts real quick.
They're so like they don't even care.
I thought they were going to have a joke there.
It's just their job.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to have a joke there where the punchline is essentially they're going to we think that they're going to see it, and then essentially they're just like run it back, and then like the punchline is going to be just them like fawning over it, and they're like, okay, we just had to appreciate that real quick. But yeah, no.
So may I?
Yes, you may. Do it.
Horns all the fucking way up. I can't everything I've already wanted to say I've already said in this entire episode. Please go watch this movie. This director is fucking fantastic. We might even get to do an episode of Revenge on here at some point, because it's like that isn't a genre.
Mandatory. This
Yeah,
is
it is.
Yeah.
Fargeat. Fargeat. I don't know how to say
Yeah, I
your
heard the
name,
last name. Yeah,
but you've become instantly. I can't remember who it was last time, but there was someone. There was a film we watched recently where I was just like, "You're
Alex
one of my
Garland.
favorite." Yeah,
Yeah,
Alex, exactly.
it was
And
for
I'm so
men.
glad you said that because
Yep.
now I can make sure to say it's a very men-esque third act.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's these two movies are the last two that have hit me this hard
Yep.
on an initial viewing.
Exactly.
Fucking masterpieces.
Yeah, this one is absolutely going to go down as a modern masterpiece. I'm 100% confident saying that. It's incredible. And so I urge everyone to go watch this movie. It played with my emotions, it played with my expectations, and then it just fucking played with my mind at the end of it. It was fucking fantastic. It is a beautiful movie, beautiful little piece of cinema. Everybody who worked on this, you can tell, absolutely loves movies, and this was a love letter to the horror genre in general, but specifically from a woman's perspective in this industry that is, for years being, it's just male gaze. It's just ogling at the pretty thing, and that's like, it's such a great commentary on that when we've already had a year of that sort of story being told, or like a couple of years, handful of stories like that being told. It's I will say it's innovative in the sense that, like, we haven't seen something on this scale with this type of like impact in the morality end of it, like the story end of it, recently. Like I said, back in the day, you had a lot of these, but they were coming straight to DVD or straight to video, straight to everything. Like, it was just like word of mouth shit. It was always, trauma films are very underrated a lot of the time. So I liked that we were able to get a movie, like I said, on this scale that had the balls to go there, it was just like, you know what? Fuck you. We're gonna show you everything that you're like not wanting to see or not expecting to see on this movie. So beautiful movie. Can't recommend it enough. Please go watch it.
Coralie's like, yeah, I like James Gunn before all this Marvel
Straight
bullshit.
the fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah, straight up Slither. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Slither.
It's
Oh my
Slither,
god,
yeah.
it's just Slither. It's the
Yeah,
barn
yeah.
scene in
It's
Slither.
Slither.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
oh, I forgot all about that
Yeah.
movie. Holy
No,
shit.
we've talked
Okay, I'm
about
sorry.
it. We're gonna get to that one around this show for sure.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god.
Yeah.
It's
a great time. Go fucking see it.
absolutely
Support this movie.
Yeah, please go.
I'm
Please.
gonna be very happy when they make 100 million, and that's gonna be like a $60 million profit for them.
I hope so, man. I hope so much good things happen for them. This is fucking one of my favorite movies of the year. Absolutely.
Like, even if there's not something for a while, for her to make something that had as much buzz as it did in 2017, like 8 years ago, at this point,
exactly.
and for her to get funding now, like, even if we don't see something for a while, I'm not going to lose hope because I haven't seen Revenge. I can't speak on it, but as much as I'm iffy on that subgenre, not knowing that a woman made it, and like seeing the Nightingale and how it can be handled in a way that is worthwhile, I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited that she's still getting work even years later, and I'm excited for the next thing. And honestly, I don't want a sequel. As much as I want a sequel, I want this to just be done and over with. It's just perfect. It's like the ending of Black Swan, where it's just she lived her dream and she's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but I came up with a really good subtitle, so
you did.
So who's right?
Once again, we've been the Devil's Work podcast.
Yep.
Thank you guys for listening. Please give us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice. It means a lot. Yep. You can reach out to us on Gmail at thedevilsworkpodcast@gmail.com. Hopefully you're watching this on YouTube right now, but if you're not, please search for us on YouTube. We have to
sub for me, baby.
We have to get a certain amount of subs under Daddy Dom here, and then we're able to make like a personalized link. So for now, just search the Devil's Work Podcast.
Yep.
We're on Instagram at the Devil's Work Pod, and we're on Facebook and TikTok at the Devil's Work Podcast.
And you can also find us on FetLife and Field.
I was like, what did I forget? Genuinely.
We're on there now.
You got
to
me.
search for us.
You know, the substance might not be real, but you too can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and
Get
I
milked,
think
loser.
we just dropped our at the time. I'm probably gonna drop this the same week. Our Singapore Sling episode. So go and enjoy that one. That
Don't enjoy
was,
it. Just watch the
that
episode.
was-
Don't watch the movie. Just listen to
dude,
those
that
two
was
talk
so
about it.
much fucking fun. It's such a good
Yeah.
episode.
I could not. I don't think I've said this on the pod yet, but literally the day before, I told somebody at work about the podcast, and they were like, "Oh, what do you think is like the most messed up movie you've ever seen?" And I can't remember what I said because it's like a weird thing to quantify. So I just had to think of like a really fucked up one, you know. And then 2 days later, we watched Singapore Sling, and I came back and I was like, "I've changed my answer."
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't even on the episode, but I would tell people to listen to that one if they want to see the most fucked up movie. I hated that movie.
Yeah.
There's-
I'm proud to have presented that one to you boys and fucked up your evenings.
Well, now I can repeat my joke and just say it's you for making me watch Singapore Sling. Go fuck yourself.
All right, you guys. Yeah, and then in 2 weeks you get Dead or Alive. So go and
Dead
enjoy that
or
one.
alive.
Oh, so good.
On it. On a tonight ride. I don't know. Terrible.
All right, you guys. Thanks for listening.